Every night is the Rangers Journal night.
Hello everyone, yes it is 6:30, you are live on the Rangers Journal. This is the Ibrox channel podcast and we've got a bumper pod lined up for you today with some absolutely fantastic expert opinion from some of the best panellists around. So I hope you're all doing well. It's actually not been too much of a bad 24 hours for Rangers, we can't say that a lot, but we've started 2025 in the right way, haven't we? So joining us tonight on this podcast, which is Clement, I can't even say it, Clement, cut or continue, easy for me to say. Dave, how you doing, big man? Oh, Dave, I think you're still muted, pal.
Some would say it's for the best, mate. Yeah, I'm good. A lot better than I thought I would be heading into the game, to be fair.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know Robbie Williams or Ronan Keaton said sometimes you say it best when you say nothing at all. We don't want that from you. If you want to hear everything you've got to say tonight, Dave. But yeah, no, good to have you on, especially after your reaction pod last night. That was fantastic. Bobby, how you doing, big man? Good to see you.
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How you doing? Listen, happy to be back. I told you 2025, I'm going to do more content with you guys. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, man, it's been not bad for the last 24 hours. You know what I mean? It's been all right. It's been all right, you know?
Yeah, it's weird being in this situation, isn't it? We've not had that too much over the past few months, but our little blips, haven't we? No, good to have you on as well, Bobby. And we've also got the man, the myth, the legend. We've got Doug. How you doing, pal?
Not bad at all. Feeling good, as Dave said. Started 2025 in the best way possible. So it's long may that continue.
Oh, it is good, isn't it? It is good, isn't it? Now, obviously, we did Doc, you did a fantastic lowdown pod on the build up to the Old Firm game, and there was a lot of content from the Rangers Journal going into it. And some of us were a little bit optimistic, I know. There was some, I think a few podders did predict 3-1 as the scoreline, which was something that I found was a bit strange in some respects. Cause I thought if we do win, it's going to be a 1-0 off someone's backside in after a dogged performance, but it really wasn't like that. Now, I'm going to come to the guys in a second about some of the key decisions in the game and, of course, some of the fantastic goals that we had. But on game day, I always put out a little poll on the Ibrox channel podcast Twitter page, which is at the Ibrox channel. And I asked I asked a simple question that had 3 potential answers. Who is going to win this game? What's the outcome going to be? Is it going to be a Rangers win, a draw, or a Celtic win? Now, 41% voted for a Rangers win, which was actually a bit higher than I thought it would be. 12% went for a draw, and 47% went for a Celtic win. So actually, it was quite split down the middle, really. Dave, I'm going to come to you, big man. Did you feel that, because the pressure's off a little bit, I guess the pressure's never really off if you're a Rangers player or, involved with Rangers, but do you think that there was that little feeling in the air that we could do something because they didn't really need to? Did you feel that, Dave?
Yeah, I did a little bit. As you say, the pressure is not off. I mean, it's never off in these games, is it? But certainly reduced. You a week prior to that, you had the kind of hangover that actually there could be a title race again. That pretty quickly got blown out the water with 2 pretty poor results. And it almost did have that kind of feel of the pressure off. I think the other thing that I'd kind of called out in the group chat was it'd be the most Rangers thing ever that we actually win the Old Firm and then go on and drop points against Hibs. So, yeah, I was quietly confident, but almost not wanting to believe it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. It definitely makes sense there, Dave. But now, Bobby, come on to you, big man. What did you reckon going into this one? Did you think that... Was there any hope that we were going to get something, or were you confident, or, what were you feeling going into it?
To be honest with you, I think, let's be honest, everyone thought the worst. Let's be real here. That's my opinion. I thought, it could be the floodgates and so on. However, with the cup final in mind, you've got to actually take some encouragement from that, and you have to realise that they can give them a game. Can they beat them? That was the question. And I think beating Celtic is a statement. And in the group chat, I put that emoji, the gift, about with the covers round, and sleeping and stuff. However, as a Rangers fan and a football person, you're always optimistic, aren't you? You're always optimistic, as majority of us are. I just want to say that, to be honest, man, yeah, I mean, I knew something was going to happen. 3-0? I don't think so. But listen, you take it, don't you?
Yeah, you certainly do take it. It was just in my head as well. It was 3 going on 5 after we pinged the crossbar, and Cherry hit the inside of the post as well, which was absolutely just insane. Obviously, we'll go through stats in a little bit, but I'll go through the team sheet quickly, and then I'll come to you, Doug. But we, of course, started with Liam Kelly in goals. Unfortunately, Jack Butland had some internal bleeding in his leg and was admitted to hospital the night before. It was sounded quite a scary situation at first, but hopefully Jack Butland is well and resting up. He did address things with a little statement on his Instagram, but get well soon, Jack. So we had Liam Kelly starting in goals for the second time this season. Now, the back four was the interesting one that we just didn't quite know how it was going to be due to limited options, but we had at right back, Ridvan Yilmaz, and then we had Sterling as the centre back, Proper, and Jeff Day at left back. We had the double pivot of Diamande and Raskin. We had the midfield three of Cherny, Bajrami, and Hadji, and then we had Egerman up top. So, Doug, I'll come at you with this one. What did you feel when you saw that team sheet? I guess expected to a degree, especially the back line.
Yeah, well, it's the back line that I suggested, or I thought that we should go with. So that was kind of happy from my point of view in terms of seeing that. Because I just thought it made the most sense. Yilmaz had been playing; he's had a couple of decent games as well. And I'm a proponent that I think sometimes people make too much about players being out of position, and that if you can play right back, you can play left back. You maybe can't do it to the best of your degree because of sides of feet or whatever else. But at a pro level, you should be able to manage that, and that was kind of why I thought keep it simple. Sterling had already been playing centre back, and that would give us the best opportunity. In the chat we did talk about all sorts of combinations, including King and Fraser and even Barron at right back and everything else. But the more I thought about it, the more I was like, why overcomplicate it, putting shifting Barron away out of position or bringing in players that haven't even touched the football. I can't remember the last time King has touched the football. So for me, I was quite happy to see that. I thought that gave us the best chance. The midfield was where things differed for me in terms of what I kind of was predicting. I thought he might have brought in Barron to be a bit more defensively solid because of the uncertainty in the back line, but obviously he stuck with Deal, which was the right decision. He had a great game. And then I think the only other thing for me was I kind of wanted Danilo to start the game because I thought that he would be a bit more, provide more dynamism, and he would maybe need to sacrifice one of Hadji or Barami due to a little bit lackey of that. But again, the managers trumped me on that one because Barami and Hadji both had really good games as well. Barami did the work on McGregor, which I think if you keep him quiet, you're a quarter of the way there in these games. And then obviously, Hadji had a total blinder, so he made the right decisions. He's picked the right team, and yeah, I was pretty happy going into it. I don't think there's many, like you said, the defence was the main questions. So unless he's thrown in some total curveballs, I think it was going to be the similar groups of players. It was less about maybe who he chose and more about how they went into the game.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. It was there was definitely a few options he could have gone with. Obviously, they were talking about we were talking in the group chat about Nsiala as well. Was there a possibility he could have been in the back line? I think for me the key thing was winning that midfield battle because middle to front were not too bad actually, despite our away goal scoring record, which has been absolutely honking this season. But at home, we are joint top and actually top now when it comes to home results. But Dave, I'm going to come to you now. Obviously, Yanis Hadji, we started the game well. He scored a great goal 7 minutes in at a really good time as well, just crept in the shot just past Schmeichel's post. Now, is Hadji's resurrection better than that of Jesus, so to speak? Because I've never known a player that's been put down basically to the B team, loaned out, come back, and somebody that you just can't get off the book, so to speak, now is somebody that we're really going to have to consider given a contract extension to.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think Hadji's almost worth keeping now, just purely for the example of professionalism that he's shown throughout all of this. You look in the summer, we had 2 10s in very similar circumstance where both were told, yeah, you're not wanted here. He buckled down, went and played with the B team, didn't sulk, knocking them in for the B team, went off to play for Romania, came back and played for the B team. So, he showed a real good, positive attitude throughout that. And yet you see the other 10 that we had and the way he left under a bit of a cloud. So I think Hadji's done himself the world of good in the eyes of the fans. And you would imagine that there's got to be some younger players looking up to him as an example.
Yeah, definitely, especially with playing with those players in the B team. I think got quite a good inspiration there, especially somebody like Yanis, who's you can tell he works hard, and actually it's starting to pay dividends now, isn't it? Which is just fantastic. Now, Bobby, obviously we dominated that first half. It was actually quite good. It was strange to see. I thought we might have regretted not getting a second goal in the first half, but second goal did come, and it came from a corner, didn't it? You were talking about things getting better in 2025. Well, Rangers seem to score from a corner, right?
Yeah, and look, like you said from middle to front we're actually not that bad. Look, the makeshift back four. If I'm honest with you, when we all saw it, I'm sure someone said in the group chat, does Ridvan have a right foot? I just thought to myself, do you know what? Let's all just be surprised together. And, you're talking about Hadji there, Dave, and I think to myself, great sentence on him that professionalism. Sorry, the word professionalism. And that's what it is. And now, that thing about when someone works hard or, as you say, knocks their pan in, you can't ignore him. Or her, whichever player. You can't ignore the player, right? Now, were Rangers in a position to have a player like Hadji playing in the B team? Probably not, but it happened. The corner, it's so interesting, isn't it? Because our original set piece taker was not on the pitch. A scorer that we did not expect to get from a corner, regardless. Listen, I think that, from the goal and from the performance yesterday, we have to actually just ask the question. And I took some notes here just to remind myself, talking to you guys, right? Beating Celtic, right, is a statement win. Let's be honest, it is. Okay, cool. However, it's one result that we all demand, right? It's annoying though because it buys Clement time, right, which everyone is split on, right? And it also, if I'm honest with you, it's a morale boost, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's a morale boost. Can we win the league? Who knows? 11 points, but we can't underestimate the physical edge and the mentality edge here because now, Dave went back to their house and thinking, we weren't at it, whatever, who cares? Rangers, they got beat. It was a clean sheet. Shout out to the makeshift back four. Listen, back four kept a clean sheet. Can't change our winning back four, right? But you guys can decide on that. I think yesterday, the game was just a massive tick in the box to say, okay, we can beat them. That's what it says for me. And the performance of, we can say the Three Musketeers, what's his name? Hadji, Raskin, and Dio. Brilliant, all brilliant. My only worry for this is that we've seen this team perform. Dave, you mentioned it earlier. It would be a Rangers thing to do. However, us scoring from a corner now kind of makes me think we actually might go to Hibs and actually play the same way and win. If pigs do fly, Dave, I'll give you a phone call and me and you can have a wee sing along. But yeah, just to go back to your question, right? There's the momentum there. It's been built up. And, I think in every Rangers fan's minds at the back of the head is this going to kick us on? Or is this just what we've been seeing all season? And I'm a bit torn on it because, hear me out, I think he should play the same team on Sunday. I believe it's Sunday. It's Sunday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Sunday. Yeah, I think he should play the same team. Just to be like, you guys have beat Celtic, arguably the best team in the league. Go to Hibs, go beat them. And then let's see the professionalism, as Dave was talking about, see if they come out, because you can't bench any one of them. Because to a man, they play their skin. But this is obviously what we're looking for, is consistency. So obviously, as much as everyone happy, good result, obviously, as I say, momentum has built. Clement's ticked a box. He's bought himself some time, but Sunday's a different fixture.
Sunday is a different fixture indeed. It's a very, very strange kind of situation that Clement is in now. Now, this pod is, of course, called Clement Cut Will Continue, so we'll go into kind of Clement in just a second about how he goes forward, because what has the criteria now changed, what he has to do between now and the end of the season. So just quickly, I'll just go through a couple of bits with the game. Obviously 2-0 up. Then late on, we had Nilo come on, and it looked like he scored with either his first or second touch once again in the Old Firm game. Doug, we've now scored 6 goals against Celtic in 2 games in a row. Has there been, I know it's a bit of an obvious question, has there been a vast improvement? And do you think we can maintain this momentum now in future Old Firms?
Well, you'd certainly like to think so. One of the concerns that we had when he had his first Old Firm game was that he'd made a bit of first Old Firm this season, was that he'd made inroads in the Cup at the end of last season, seemingly in terms of performance, although he didn't get the result, and then seemed to go back to type in that first Old Firm, and we then ended up with the same result. So that's now 2 Old Firms in a row where he's seemingly learned from the previous mistakes and therefore built upon. So, he's had one, the cup final, great performance, scored goals, could easily have won that. And, penalties are penalties. And so that was that. But then he's gone into the next one and continued that momentum and pushed it to the next part, which was, right, well, now we won the game. So I still think there's work to do. Obviously, we had the advantage of being at home, which is a big help. So he needs to go now into the next one and not necessarily win the game, but keep the performance levels and keep the game in jeopardy and not, just another Celtic walk in the park. If he can do that, then I think that will then, for me, show that he is learning his lessons and he is starting to develop, because that's really the question that we'd gotten to. And I think, and I myself was at this point after Motherwell as well, where I was sitting there going, he's not learning lessons, he's not picking up the mistakes he's making and changing them, or he's doing it but then reverting back to type and therefore making the same mistakes again. So I don't think we've really changed in that regard. While we can all be happy, we'll spend a good week or a good few days being happy about this game, but I think 99% of fans will still be in the same position they were before, whichever side of the argument, keep them or not, they were on. Because I think, like you said, consistency and maintaining and showing us that, right, I've got this now, and now I can maintain it, because that's really where the trick is. Anyone can win a game of football, but champions win game after game after game after game after game after game after game, and that's where he is falling down. He needs to get the away form sorted. That's his big thing, and I think that's why a lot of people are worried still, because the away form is a sackable offence on its own without considering anything else. So he needs to. That's, I think, the next hurdle. He's kind of got the monkey off his back now, where people can't say to him, "Well, you've never beaten Celtic." Okay, now you've beaten Celtic, so the next thing is, right, now you need to fix your away form. And if you can get that, then I think you'll get to the end of the season. We'll end up in a decent place. We might even claw back another point or two, and so he can then sit there and go, right, you should continue to invest in me and continue to build. But I think he needs to, for the rest of the season, show that consistency. So we can't be having any more of these games like we're having against St Mirren and Motherwell, where we're just not there in the first half. There needs to be no more of them, because otherwise people will just immediately flick back to, it's crap, it's no good, he's never going to learn. So we now need consistent performances from now to the end of the season.
Andrew, can I just add on that?
Go for it.
Forgive me. I'm with you, Doug. I am with you, because I wrote this down, right? One Old Firm win doesn't erase the consistency that we've seen, right? Which is the fact. He's still got to deliver over a whole season. We've seen Gio do this and still struggle long term, right? Now, Sunday, like you said, the consistency, we need to consistency. Sunday, winning the Old Firm could just be paper over craps if you go to Easter Road, right? What's it called? And lose. So really, as you said, that is the consistency we're looking for. So, like you said, 99.9% Rangers fans will be in the same position come Sunday. And I think, Andrew, that's the question that we all need to ask, as well as yourself as the host. Sorry, and forgive me, please do forgive me
No,
for
it's
jumping in
fine.
there. The league isn't won in one game, you know. So what if you beat Celtic? Well done. Okay. Okay. Then what? Now what? Do you know what I mean? I think that's the question. You know, I know we're going to go into another point, but like, Doug, when you just did something to me that triggered something to me to say that, like, basically, if he's still dropping points against the smaller teams, I don't really care if you're beating Celtic, to be honest. That's just me.
No. Do you know what? This is the question now. We're going to go into this, and Dave, you got something to say, big man?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just kind of following on from what Bobby said there, he's absolutely bang on, right? If we drop any more points, we could have beaten Celtic in the first Old Firm, plus beat them in the next two, and we would still be behind in the league. So I'm delighted we beat Celtic yesterday. I've loved today. I've seen a few Celtic fans, had a wee chuckle to myself. But the fact is, without beating these smaller teams consistently, it's for nothing.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. We're going to delve into Clement now because a lot of us were saying before we were building up to the Spurs game and the League Cup final that if he doesn't get anything against Celtic, he's probably gone. Now, obviously, we know this season's a bit of a rebuild season. I know that the manager won't come out and say it per se that, you know, that they won't challenge because of the rebuild, because you can't as a Rangers manager. However, it is a rebuild season, and there has been a lot of feelings that a lot of other managers have been shown the door for. Has things really changed, Dave, with this result yesterday? Really, what do you think the expectations are now? I know you were saying you've got to win as many games as you can, but what do you think realistically will be set out now? We've had a change, you know, upstairs in the boardroom. We've got Patrick Stewart in now. Do you think any of the criteria has changed now? Oh, sorry, Dave, you're still muted, pal.
I'm getting good at that. No, is the short answer. I don't think anything's changed. I'm, unlike a lot of the fans, I'm not entirely convinced that even if we had lost yesterday, I don't think Clement would have been binned. I think the board would have persisted with him. I think it was quite telling after those two games, and someone asked him if he felt pressure, and he basically turned around and says, nah. And obviously he's going to say no, but it felt like he genuinely believed that he wasn't under pressure, which suggests to me he's had some kind of assurances from the board that he is going to be given time for this to play out. Now, for me, as I said before, the Celtic game was great, but it doesn't change the fundamental issue that we are an extremely inconsistent team. We've had other good results. We've got some really good results along the way, especially in Europe. And then we've come back and dropped points to SPFL jobbers, if you will. Right? So the problem's never been getting that great performance, getting that result. The problem is doing it on a consistent basis. And for me, yesterday doesn't change the fact the jury's still out on that one.
I think you are right there. And obviously, Bobby's agreeing with you there. Bobby, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, just like Dave, 100% agree with you. You know, like obviously Scott put in the agenda, so obviously I like to come prepared. And I wrote a few notes and stuff, and you know, I always say in the group, you know, I don't talk as much, but when I do talk as much, I always say some stuff, right?
You're a silent assassin.
yes. Basically, right. So listen, we know Clement's a proven winner, right? In Belgium and stuff, he's a winner. I get that. But, you know, you don't win league titles by accident. So I respect him on that, in that case, right? But you can see already there's some slight improvement. Not massive incline, but there's some slight improvement, right? Sacking him now would mean starting from scratch again, right? And how many managers are we going to burn through? And we all talk about stability, consistency and stuff. If we keep getting rid of managers and it's still the same players who are manoeuvring with, where are we going, right? And then I thought to myself, January transfer window, what's going to happen? Maybe a few loans. But then I played devil's advocate, right? And please bear with me, guys, because I really want your opinion on this. He's had enough time to show progress, right? That's another of my opinion, and some people may not agree with me here, right? Some people say he's one-dimensional. Probably, yeah. I also think that Rangers is a results-driven job, and it's a results-driven business as well as a football club. Are we waiting too long to act, or are we literally calling Celtic's bluff here and calling the fans bluff by keeping him on? And what I mean by that, I mean that with Rangers, you need to win the league. Nothing. Win titles on it. If you're not doing that, why are you here? So that's my opinion on that case. And as I said, I'm split because I say all these things, I think these things, and then I play devil's advocate. And, you know, thank God I'm not the guy who's making the decision because I'd be useless. However, you know, looking at the win, but then looking at the results before, you know, he has had enough time to change it around. What do you guys think? I don't know.
A good question. Doug, what do you think? What's your opinion on that, pal?
I mean, I think it's a complicated question. When you're talking about, like, has he had enough time to develop? Has he had enough time to change things? I think the other part of that question is, well, where is it we expect him to be? What do we expect him to have changed within, let's say, 6 months? Let's take it from the start of the season. That's when he was bringing in his players. That's when he got rid of the old team. So I think we're having to look at, and I think what people need to do is to try and think to themselves, where were they last November, or the latter half of last year, when they were looking at Borna Barisic and Connor Goldson and Jack and Roof and players like this. Were they looking at a team that they believed was going anywhere, or were they looking at a team that they thought needed completely redone and everything next to everyone taken out? And then look at, right, where are we now? And then say to themselves, right, well, what has changed? Have they gotten that? How big of a challenge is removing the vast majority of a team? And not only just removing that, but changing an era, which is what, you know, Clement himself has called it. I think a lot of fans have referred to it as that. The only real big thing I think that the majority of fans, maybe not the majority, but a large vocal amount of fans wanted that they didn't get, was Tavernier leaving. And he's kind of, I think, the one main bridging point from that that's still there. And then it's looking at, right, well, having done all that, is where he is now a fair place to be in terms of, right, we're going into the next window, he's going to get a chance to add to what he's got and build from there. So I think those are the kind of things we need to look at. And I think the answer to that latter question, which I saw Dave answering as well, I think is no. But in terms of whether or not we sack him, then the question is, well, how far away is it in terms of that no? So, and that's where I think it's kind of difficult to judge, because you've got a really good European campaign, you've got some decent football happening, you've got some players who have made progress. I do think this season has taught us a little bit about the value of patience. Where was Nico Raskin 6 to 12 months ago? You know, and in terms of where he's come on now. You know, Tavernier was absolutely a bomb scare 6 months ago, and he's rediscovered his form prior to, obviously, his injury. Where was Hamza Igama 6 months ago compared to how we consider him now? People were furious that he was never appearing and saying, why is he not just chucking him in? Why is he not chucking him in? Well, we can't. One thing you could potentially say is that Clement took the right approach to that, because he's eased him into the team, and then he went and, you know, scoring goals for fun for a bit, and has become a player that's really exciting. So is there a lesson for us to learn there? Because obviously we want to get back to where we were, which is a team that wins and wins regularly. But is there value for us to learn there about patience in terms of how long it's going to take us to get there? Because ideally we should be there already, but we're not for reasons X, Y, and Z.
But Doug, the players he's had are good enough to beat the smaller teams, though.
They are, and that's the
my-
gap. That's the gap. I'm saying, like, I think, like, I'm agreeing with Dave when he said to say no, he's not where he should be, but is he far enough from that place to sack him? And that's, I think, the question that I think will put you on one side or the other, because, like you say, if he can just turn his away form around, he's in a totally different ballgame. So it's like, can he fit that puzzle, and can he? Will he? Is January going to give him enough tools to do that? And I think these are the things that, because the alternative, like you said yourself, Bobby, the alternative is starting from zero.
Yeah.
In the same pattern, which a lot of people said at the start of this season we had to break, which was the sacking mid-season and bringing someone else in. Because if we do that, I'm a proponent of, if we're going to do that, to bring in an interim, and even if you employ someone and have someone ready, to leave them in the background to just sort of look over everything for the rest of the season and then start fresh with the new one. Purely because it will break that cycle. So I think that's what the question is I think it's a pretty unanimous for most people that Clement is not where we want him to be. The question is, how far away is he? And do you think January will give him the tools to keep closing that gap? And do you have faith that he can keep closing that gap? And then if so, the answer to the question is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting debate. By the way, Doug, your audio's kind of going in and out a little bit, pal. We can hear you, but you are just going in a little bit, just to let you know. No, very good point there, Doug, and Bobby as well. We've never really been in a situation where you've seen a manager come in, try something, and they've never really been given the time to go, let's see if this works. So this could, I'm saying that with Bunny ears here, could be a blessing in disguise in some respects. But Dave, I'm going to ask you this. Do you think this time next year you will see a much better Rangers side with Clement in charge? Do you see us improving?
I see us improving. I don't see us having Clement in charge. I think we're sitting here and we're talking about rebuilds, and we're talking about squad depth, and we're talking about budgets. There's 10 managers in that league that would absolutely walk over broken glass to have our transfer fees, squad size, wage budget. Now, I could accept in a transition period being behind Celtic. They are the best team in the league. They've won majority of the last league titles. You can't really debate that. What you can debate is the fact that we're struggling to put away St Mirren or Motherwell or any of the other games where we've limped over the line to a draw or not had anything. And I'm sorry, but there just isn't an excuse for that.
Yeah, I agree. Our record against the top six, Celtic aside, is absolutely honking. When you go into stats, our points per game for our away form is 1.22. That is shocking. That is just unbelievably bad. I've never seen. I think even Pedro Caixinha probably had a better points per game for away matches. There's such a the weird thing was, I think we all thought at the start of the season we'd be struggling at home with being at Hampden, which was the weird thing. We didn't really, obviously, bar the European qualifier aside. Bobby, I'm going to ask you this now, and well said there, Dave. I can't really disagree with you there, pal. But Bobby, obviously, January transfer window, it's open now. Would you trust Clement now with the little money that we do have to bring in players? What do you think?
I think if the decision's already been made that he's going to be here for the rebuild and the new project and so on, then it's a yes, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to be here, you might as well. I think he has to be very smart and he has to be very shrewd. Some of his players are all right. Some of his other signings have been. We'll leave it at that. But I just think if you want this man to succeed, you have to back him. Doug's talking about patience. Yes is the answer, to be honest, and you have to. And then you hope that he's learned his lesson, and you hope that he knows the league by now and what is actually needed. We need runners, we need athletes that are good technically on the ball at the same time. Good luck to him to find that. I just think that, you know, but I'll answer your question with a question. Do you think he's even good enough to be able to do you think Clement's good enough, right? And his scout talent ID allows him to execute this January window?
See, that is an interesting one. I'll let Dave come in just a sec.
So
I think personally, sorry. Dave,
no,
go
I
on.
was just gonna say, RFC 72 has actually put a comment in just up a wee bit that is something I've been saying. Nah, it's the one before that, mate. This is something that I've said quite a few times now. Clement has stumbled into most of what has worked. Playing Raskin in there, he stumbled into it because he had to rest Baron. Danilo and Igaman, he'd pretty much run his course with every other combination up there. Gave him a shot, probably to save his job, let's be honest, and it worked. Everything good that he seems to find, including this latest game where, you know, we're all talking about, well, you can't drop these guys, we should let them start. He stumbled into that. That wasn't, he didn't wake up in the morning and think, right, I'm going to play these guys.
Yeah.
He was forced to play them. Sorry
it
for
was
jumping in, but
No,
yeah.
no. You're right in that respect because he stuck with the same formation, that kind of 4-2-3-1, with that double pivot against teams that, no disrespect, you don't really need that double pivot.
Yeah.
And after several attempts at that, he was forced into changes after bringing in, around about the time he brought in Igaman, and then started kind of utilizing kind of more two up top, and things started to change. No, I do totally agree. And it's almost like you look at yesterday, he had changes that were enforced upon him that, you know, no disrespect to Jack Butland, he would not have been dropped for yesterday, but we all know he needs a bit of time out after, you know, the penalty incident against St Mirren and the kind of flapping, and even the first goal against Motherwell wasn't, you know, you could see that his confidence isn't there right now. And I know taking someone out of the team's a big call, but that's what a manager's there to do. That back line yesterday worked, but we would never have gone with it. And to be fair, you can see why we wouldn't have gone with it. But the one thing that I think with Clement at the minute is it's kind of that term, obviously, that we've used a lot on the Rangers Journal, kicking the can down the roads. We do still seem to be a little bit in that situation at the minute. However, out of this situation so far, he hasn't lost that dressing room. They are still listening to him. That tactically yesterday, he got everything spot on, and that's hard to do when you've lost the dressing room. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that won't happen, because that's kind of the end of days factor, isn't it? When that happens, then it is done. So I think we're at that stage now where he probably is a couple of bad results away from the end, but are we just prolonging it? Can he go on a massive run? Yes, we are 11 points behind, but we've still got around that almost half a season to play. I know that's not really, mathematically it's not impossible, but they would have to collapse at the other end of the city, and I don't think that's going to happen. But
you never know, though. You never know, Andrew. Because Andrew, do you know what? I hear what you're saying. I do agree with you, right? And I think, you know, your question to me, and I rebutted it with a question to you. You know, Dave's went in and said a few things about, you know, RFC 72 about being tactical at class. And then obviously, Andrew, you're saying about like he stumbled across this. Now, this is what I'm saying about his ideology, his talent ID. You know, you're saying, should he be given the funds or should we allow him? I think my answer is no. I think he needs help, because you wonder yourself, look at all these combinations that had in the Old Firm game. Why hasn't Raskin just been playing in the position? I bumped into Raskin. I saw Raskin in Edinburgh, right? And I just went up to him. I said to him, listen, my name's Bobby Wansley, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I love the way you play. I don't understand why you're not playing. And I said to him, I was like, don't you and Diomande speak French? He said, yeah. I was like, and you guys are very technical. So why are you not playing together? Like, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles are probably even asking that themselves. Literally, like, honest to God, you've got two players that like to play football. You obviously know Raskin can be a warrior. He can get all apart. Dio likes to go forward the ball. That's just a partnership. That's just like you either go with bread and butter or bread and jam. Or you know what? You put jam and butter on the bread. You play both of them. And they'll be like, boom, let that be your foundation. The fact that he stumbled across that has to make you worried, and alarm bells have to start ringing. Now, the Hadji situation, look, do you know what? I'm going to say this about Hadji. See, if you want to win football games, play your better players. Simple as that. I don't care. He's not in a position to be like, we can do this, we can. Because he hasn't bought that kind of credit. He doesn't have that aura. He doesn't even have the trust of majority of the fans. So when you see Hadji play like he does, fucking play him. Just play him, right? Sorry for swearing, Scott. Just play him, right? And one other thing about the deal and the Raskin thing, right? See dudes on Sterling, right? See when he brings him on for Tav and that. Stop doing that. Just play him right back. Drop Tav. Butland, drop him. I'm sorry. Any other player in any other position gets dropped. We've all had conversations in the group chat about Jack Butland, right? I'm sorry, but you want to be the big manager with the cojones and be the manager of the Rangers Football Club? Do the fucking right thing and do what's just common and easy to the eye. He's been struggling. Take him out. What's the point of bringing Liam Kelly? By the way, a very competent goalkeeper. Very competent goalkeeper. Put him in. We started save top bins. I'm shameless, but it's still top bins. I'll take that. My point is this, yeah. I think his ideology, it's vibes FC. He's like, all right, this is what's happening now. Let's go with it. He's not went in the change room and said, Ridvan, I'm putting you full back because do you know what? You got pace, okay? You'll probably, because it's left-footed, might come inside. Do you know what? You'll probably pocket him. He stumbled across that, and that's when you asked that question, Andrew, I'm thinking, well, I still don't think he should be trusted because if Tav was fit, he plays for Tav. If Jack Butland was fit, he plays Jack. Is he brave enough to make that?
Don't get me wrong, modern football, I don't know how much Clement will have say-wise in the transfers. I know obviously everything's run so differently these days. It's not like the days the manager would go out and choose his players, obviously. Niels Koppen will have a short list of players. Allegedly, we were told there was money available for January, but then we keep hearing conflicting things. There's probably going to be a few loan deals come in, very likely so. Because we need some players, especially in defence. But I'm going to ask you a question now, Doug, and this is what I'm going to ask everyone, because this is, we are pretty much at the halfway point of the season. Doug, do you want Philippe Clement to stay? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why? No pressure.
Well, I said I kind of felt I got to the point after the Motherwell game that I thought it had come to a head. So as I say, I felt like he wasn't learning enough lessons, or he seemed incapable of fixing things. So I was kind of at the point now. I usually go through a phase of right. I'm kind of ambivalent before I get to a point of being I want someone going. So I'm in kind of that phase at the moment, where if he goes, I'll be fine with it. If he stays, then I'll be fine with it, and hope that he will, in the longer term, prove to learn the lessons I think he's not learning now. Speaking about, just touching on the point you said there about halfway, I was quiet through that last week section there because I decided I would pull up. I wanted to compare for my own edification, but I thought it's quite interesting. Gerrard's first season. And where he was at this point compared to where Clement is at this point. So right now, Clement, 19 games, 12 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses, 39 points. 19 games into Gerrard's season, 11 wins, 5 draws, 3 losses, 38 points. So Clement's a point ahead of where Gerrard was season 1. Gerrard, obviously, I feel is a comparable because he had a rebuild. He was taking on a new era. And when you actually look at the overall, as well, it's not too... If Clement has a good second half of the season, he'll likely finish similarly to how Gerrard finished. Gerrard's first season, he finished 10 points behind Celtic. Now, albeit part of that was because Celtic were also not great. They had more losses. Celtic have improved in ways that we haven't currently. But I think it's interesting because, had we the same opinion now of Gerrard that we currently have of Clement and sacked him, we never win that league 2 years later. And that's, I kind of feel like I've become a bit more introspective about this because of the fact we keep binning managers. And I'm thinking, do we need to give someone the time that we gave Gerrard? We gave him 3 years. That's a long, long time compared to where we are right now. We're only a year, if you want to count the full tenure, into Clement. So I'm kind of thinking, and this maybe reflects back to the group and to the guys in the chat, what are the differences? Why did we give Gerrard all that time, and yet right now we don't want to give Clement, 6 months, 12 months? Is there, and I think the difference will be the perspective of that idea of, is he learning lessons? So I think Gerrard felt like he was learning lessons and building, but did we also give him more time because he was Steven Gerrard? There may be a little bit of that kind of thing in there. But I just thought that was kind of interesting that, he's not a million miles away from where Gerrard was season 1, era redefinition 1 kind of thing. And yeah, so I just thought that was something
Doug,
to
give you a
on.
question here, Doug, right? Doug, if your missus or your partner keeps breaking your heart, right? Keeps doing stuff that keeps annoying you, and she keeps, just giving you a headache and stuff, do you give her a chance? Or do you get rid?
Do you love them? That's the question. How much do you love them?
Are you getting the benefit of being her partner? If she keeps breaking your heart, you keep seeing you keep telling her what she has to do.
How good is she in bed?
Welcome to Deirdre. You're on the Rangers Journal.
Bear with me with this. Bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this, right? Right? Just humour me, Doug. Humour me. What would you do?
Well, I mean, the obvious answer that the picture paints is that you separate, but
right, okay, hold that, Doug, you separate right now. Philip Clement, right? Look at the time he's had. Look what he's done. Look at the inconsistency. Look at the obvious things to evaluate.
Okay, so why didn't we break up with Gerrard then? He lost to Livingston, twice to Aberdeen, twice to Kilmarnock, drew twice with Kilmarnock.
Gerrard was building with Rob. Gerrard was
he lost to
Rob
teams.
Kiernan,
he lost
for
to
God's
similar teams
sakes.
as well. Yeah, but I'm just making the point. So, but we're talking about things that were similar then to what they are now.
But football's changed, though. Listen, talking about a Celtic team that have dominated and monopolised all the trophies.
Right. So therefore, Clement's job is harder then.
Yes, but Steven
So shouldn't we give him more time then?
I don't know, but my point, I was just asking you a question because you're saying that, what he's doing and stuff he's going. I just gave you an analogy between you and your partner. If you can see that someone's doing something wrong,
yeah, but I'll break up with a partner long before I'm ever going to break up with Rangers. So I mean, it's not really good.
Steven Gerrard got time because he was Steven Gerrard. Let's just say what it was, okay? At the end of the day, he's English. Footballing legend. Listen, the emotions probably went ahead of brains when it came to dealing with him. And also, there was the hope that he would win a league title, and obviously he did. But that's the reason, because he got that. Philip Clement is not known, and forgive me, I don't speak for every person here, he's probably not known he's not as popular as Steven Gerrard. We probably don't know much of his...
But as you said, he is a title winner. Which is something that Gerrard didn't have. So does that kind of help balance it out? He's not got the fame,
but that's the question,
but he's got the track record.
That's the debate, though. That's the debate. That's why I just ask questions, my friend.
Yeah, you get that grenade, you take the pin out and throw it into the fire. What a man, boy! What a man! But you know what? If you look at the situations, I think when you look at Gerrard, just before Gerrard came in, we were the same mess that we were in the Championship and in the lower leagues. We were an absolute bin fire. We were struggling to finish second. Gerrard came in, got us playing a good style of football. At first, we didn't really buy too many players in. We didn't blow a massive budget. Gerrard had that worldwide appeal, put Rangers on the map. There was news articles about Rangers all across Europe and, in Africa and places like that, where the people were following Steven Gerrard because, of course, the Liverpool effect, England effect that he had. Yes, Gerrard had bad results, but you could see we had improved massively. We obviously finally got that league title, but in some other instances, if we were the Rangers, of 2010, let's say, then Gerrard would not have been in charge that long, because that loss at Hamilton at that point, we were an absolute mess. However, you could see something was coming. That's something that we had nothing with the previous managers, where you looked at Pedro Caixinha. We knew we were getting nowhere with Pedro after the first few games. You could see it. And Mark Warburton was so one-dimensional. Yes, we had a couple of things. We beat Celtic in that Scottish Cup semi-final. I just think they're not very comparable until we finally won that league title. I think now that you look at this situation, it's almost like, right, we are back, but we are now underperforming. And I think that's the thing now. I think the goalposts are slightly different. You're all right in what you're saying. There's no wrong answers here. It is all about opinion, and it's been fantastic opinion this evening. So I'm going to keep going with this question to get it from everyone. Bobby, do you want him to stay? And we're talking about Philippe Clement here. We're not talking about you, missus.
I think I'm a pragmatist, and I talk like a politician, so I never really answer questions with answers. I think that, can Philippe Clement go and dominate Scottish football? I don't think so. Not with his current crop of players, and with the proof in the puddings with the players that he's tried to attract to the club. Have they performed or whatever? I don't think Philippe Clement goes on and dominates Scottish football. Now, that being said, I can't see into the future. That's just my opinion. Do I want him to go? If he goes, Rangers are back to square one. So, is common sense common, or are we just going to stick instead of twisting? I think my answer to that is that I hope he is successful. I hope he's successful for all of our emotions and health as well. But at the same time, so that's how I'm going to answer it, because I think, look, he's got a trophy. He's the last couple of games against Celtic, he's shown that he can manoeuvre. Still not good enough. Still not. Bobby, give a straight answer.
To be fair, you said there you're not good enough. You've given your answer there, Bobby. So yeah, no, it is. You know what? It is a very difficult situation, because it's not we've really been this far with at this stage, especially being so far behind. Here we go, Deirdre. Yeah, we'll do this. I think we'll add that to the Rangers Journal once a week. We'll sort out all your life problems. Oh, brilliant. Now, I'm going to go at you, Doug. I'm going to ask you the same question, big man. Do you want Clement to stay at this stage?
I'll say yes for now. I'm not convinced. As I say, like Bobby, I'm not necessarily convinced, because it has been up and down. I am worried that he's ultimately long term still going to not learn the lessons. I think he's not been learning over months 1 to 6 in terms of this season. So yeah, I've got my concerns, but there is enough there for me to say I'm not in a rush to sack him, given that, well, it's not as if, I could see him winning the cup and ending the season that, positively that way. I could see that happening, and so that will still be progress. And so if he can do that, and if he can make positive steps forward, then, maybe he develops. But he does have developing to do if he's going to keep his job for longer than this season.
I think you're right there, Doug. I think it is going to be game to game. I think, we have to win everything. If we start seeing the performance again, Aldo says it perfectly here, to be fair. If we see the same on Sunday, where we're back to biting the nails behind the couch watching, that's not going to keep things going for much longer, and the fans will turn, because there isn't much credit in the bank. Yes, we've got a nice old firm win, but in the grand scheme of things, we could have been 9 points behind, if we had gone with the right team against Motherwell and had beaten St Mirren. So yeah, well, it's 53, nearly 54 minutes in. I think that's a good time to call it a day. It's been a great debate on here tonight, as always, with the Rangers Journal. But guys, thank you for joining us on the Ibrox Channel podcast on the Rangers Journal. It's good to hear all your opinion, and keep all the comments coming in. There's more coming to the Rangers Journal later on in the week. I can't remember what day it is. I think it's Friday. Honestly, it does not feel like Friday. My head won't get back to normal next week. But of course, yeah, Rangers play on the Sunday. And hopefully it's another 3 points for Rangers. So I'd just like to thank my esteemed panelists here who have put in an absolute fantastic shift. And thank you, Bobby, for your politician answers. No, honestly, thank you, Bobby. You're a good man, Bobby. And thank you, Doug, and thank you, Dave. Every night is a Rangers Journal night, so keep looking on the socials at the Rangers Journal, and we will see you all very soon. So cheery bye, everyone. See ya.